That's not where we are today. The Republican Party is led by Trump, who is a downer. He sees nothing but problems and hate and disarray. And he just has said it very, very clearly that America's future is trashed. So we really see an enormous difference in where the Republican Party is and the leadership of it. And McConnell has been very, very much a part of denying Americans their basic rights. You take a look at what McConnell did with Trump and others to form the Supreme Court, the most conservative, in many ways outrageous Supreme Court that we've had perhaps in the history of this nation. If you're a woman, you can count on Mitch McConnell having played a critical role in denying you the rights to your own health care, the abortion issue and beyond. Also voting rights. Mitch McConnell had everything to do with setting up a Supreme Court as well as other lower courts in putting in place justices that have no use for the notion that every citizen has a right to vote. So taking away fundamental civil liberties as well as the right of a woman. McConnell did that. He did that by using his power to establish a Supreme Court and lower courts that are extraordinarily conservative.
So no love lost, certainly over Merrick Garland, Congressman. I think I hear what you're saying. Will the Senate be better served in the hands of a MAGA-friendly leader?
Absolutely not. You take a look, the two gentlemen, I know them well. I think of them as people that I have worked with, but they're coming from extremely conservative states. I represent more people in my district than they do in their entire state. The nation has shifted, and yet it looks as though the future leadership of the Senate is going to be dominated by two people who represent very, very few people and in extraordinarily conservative states. So what we're seeing is the Republican Party giving way to the MAGA extremists. And that's going to have long-term implications for this nation, and it will clearly have implications in the upcoming Senate races, where we should be arguing, wait a minute, America, is this really what you want in the future? The answer, I think, is very clear. No, we don't want the Senate controlled by the extreme MAGA Republicans, which is what is now going to happen.
Well, Congressman, of course, this announcement from Mitch McConnell comes at a especially precarious time on Capitol Hill, as we are just days away potentially from the start of a partial government shutdown if there is not some deal reached to avert one. It's really unclear what exactly the standing plan is of House Speaker Mike Johnson, but we were told by the House Majority Whip Tom Emmer just a few weeks ago before the recess that it would not be another continuing resolution. I'd like you to just listen to what Congressman Emmer told us earlier this month. Here he is.
You're not going to get another continuing resolution out of our conference in Congress. The last one was difficult, and that was done because our Speaker recognized that there just wasn't enough physical time to process all the bills once the House and the Senate had agreed on the top line number. When we come back, the key is going to be what are the packages that are put on the floor. We should be there before the first deadline of March 1st.
So, Congressman, you are now back. What is your understanding of what exactly is going to happen to avert a partial shutdown come midnight Friday? Will it be a CR?
Well, currently the House of Representatives is run by the Chaos Caucus. It's total, absolute chaos. Mr. Emmett, a good guy, but he's going to prove to be proven wrong. There will be a CR. For how long, we don't know. Let's keep in mind that the Republicans are incapable of governing. Totally incapable of governing. The major pieces of legislation that kept this government functioning have been by the minority party, by the Democrats. We're the ones that have governed over the last year. You take a look at the debt limit. That was 60% Democrats, 40% Republicans. Democrats were governing then. We're the sane, rational group that have been able to keep this government functioning. The CRs of the past, Republicans couldn't put their own CR out there. Each one of the CRs that have brought us to this week have been done by the Democrats. We're the ones that have kept the government functioning. You take a look at the National Defense Authorization Act. The Republicans didn't put up the majority of the votes. It was the Democrats, once again, that put up the legislation that allows for our national security, not the Republicans. They are the Chaos Caucus. And now we're looking at where are we today? It'll be a continuation of that. They're continuing to try to put onto the appropriation bill, absolutely crazy writers dealing with women's rights, dealing with voting rights, dealing with the border, on and on and on, none of which solve any problem but make the situation worse for Americans. It's the Democrats that have been able to put up the votes. Yes.
With that said, Congressman, the Speaker says if there's no agreement on these 4 spending bills that are set to expire Friday, that he will not entertain a CR. We're just trying to figure out not even who's to blame right now, but whether this thing's going to start shutting down or not. What's your gut check?
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we? Do the Republicans want to be responsible for shutting down about
so you don't know.
40%? We don't know, but we do know this. Total chaos in the Republican conference. They cannot govern. They cannot get their act together. Speaker Johnson has no power whatsoever. One member of the Republican Party can terminate his office, and he has no power. And if he ever knew how to use it in the first place, the answer to that is probably he doesn't know how to use it. And keep in mind that he is an extraordinary conservative person. His record on voting, his record on conservatism is way beyond the MAGA conservatism. So he's coming at this from a radical conservative point of view personally, trying to govern a caucus that is total chaos. I'll tell you what will ultimately happen. There will be a CR, and that CR will be put forth with Democratic votes. It will be the Democrats that once again put up the majority, probably as much as 60 or 2/3 of the votes. The Republicans, a few of them will sign on, and then we'll continue to operate the government. Is that the way to do it? Absolutely not. But the Republican leadership, if they would today allow the vote to go forward on funding Ukraine, and by the way, the Republicans like to fancy themselves as being the national security program, that they're out there beating their chest saying, oh, it's all about a strong military. Really? But they won't fund it. They won't fund Ukraine. Most of that money for Ukraine is to rebuild our supplies in our depots in America and around the world, the United States depots, and also will provide ammunition for Ukraine. It is absolutely unconscionable what the Republicans who fancy themselves as being national security advocates are standing down. They're not lining up to support America's national security or the border funding. They want border, they won't vote for it. They want funding for the border, but they won't fund it. I mean, it is absolute, total chaos.